I think I was about 19 years old.
19 years old? Okay.
I remember it started in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
It started in Europe, and that's when I learned that Hitler wanted to rule the world. And then later on, come to find out, Japan was in with them because they wanted to rule the world with Hitler.
Right.
And that's when we all kind of got angry about all this, you know.
Right.
And the Americans, I'm telling you, it's unbelievable. We were asleep, but we waked up. We waked up. And so then I was working in a men's clothing store. I was about 18 years old. I was working in the, yes. And so then the factory, Waterbury Manufacturing Company, I left the store to work at the Waterbury Manufacturing. Waterbury was the breast center of the world, making shells and all that. And I thought I had to do something for the war that was going on.
Right.
So I went to work at the factory, and I hated it. Working from morning, I mean, they had 3 shifts, like from 7 to 3, 3 to 11, 11 to 7. Every month we would change, you know. I hated it. So I was there until about, the beginning of August. Then I says, I got a letter from the Army, induction, and I had to report.
Right.
I says, I don't think I want to join the Army. I want to join the Marine Corps. So I joined the Marine Corps. I joined the Marine Corps. I left the factory. When I left that factory, and I said, so help me, if I ever come out of this war alive, I'll never work in the factory as long as I live, and I never did.
Very good. Where did you live at the start of the war?
Where did I live? I lived on 76 Oak Street, Waterbury, Connecticut.
Very good. Where were you when you first learned that the U.S. was joining the war?
I didn't quite hear you.
Where were you when you learned that the U.S. was joining World War II?
When we were...
When the U.S. was joining the war, where were you when you found that out?
Oh, when I found it out right in Waterbury, right. I found it out right in Waterbury.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so I enlisted in the Marine Corps.
Right.
And if I couldn't make the Marine Corps, I would have joined the Navy.
Oh, okay. Perfect. So you were enlisted. What were your reasons for enlisting?
My reasons?
Yep.
The reason for enlisting was freedom.
Very good.
We fought for our freedom. And that's why I wanted to join the Marine Corps. I wanted to be part of everything. To join the Marine Corps to fight for our freedom. And we did, and we won. They couldn't stop us.
Right. How did your family and friends feel about you enlisting?
Well, my mother and father, they felt very bad. My relatives felt bad also, but they understood that others were joining, others were drafted, and my mother and father didn't want me to join the Marine Corps because they said the Marine Corps, they're really tough fighters. You know, there's 6 divisions. It's not an army, you know. And I says, I just got to join the Marine Corps, so I joined the Marine Corps.
Very
so,
good.
Anyway, when I got discharged, it was October 1945. My sister met me at Grand Central Station, and my cousin Pauline met me, you know, to go home. So, and so we got on the train. We got home to Waterbury. So when I went in that house, it was unbelievable. My mother looked at me, she started crying, and she hugged me like crazy. My father was crying. They couldn't believe that I came out of that war alive, you know, because they heard of other people around the neighborhood, their sons got killed, you know, whether it was Army, Navy, or whatever, you know. And I'm telling you, it was unbelievable. And so they were crying. She was crying so hard. I started crying.
Oh.
I never realized how worried they were about me.
Right.
I never realized it.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Now, this you could write this off too if you don't have to.
Yeah. Yes. And walk me through the day you enlisted. What were your feelings when you enlisted? Were you nervous?
No.
You were excited?
I was excited. I was calm. I was going to the Marine Corps.
All right. Good. Perfect. How did you feel after you enlisted? Did you still feel excited?
I was, yes. And so then I remember when we went to, I enlisted, and it was in Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. That's where I enlisted, and I was sworn in there, you know. Mm-hmm. And then when I came home, in about 2 weeks from then, I would have to get on the train and go to Paris Island, right. You know. Mm-hmm. And so in the meantime, 2 men came to the house and they were going to arrest me because they said, "Why didn't you report the induction center? You received a letter, you know, the Army and all that." I said, "I'm sorry, I should have let the Army know that I joined the Marine Corps, but I didn't. But I joined the Marine Corps. I showed them my papers and all that."
Right.
So.
Were you scared when they showed up to your house?
No, because I was already a Marine.
Right.
I had.
Right.
So then they said, "We're sorry, okay, but you should have let us know."
Right. Okay.
I should have let them know, you know.
Mm-hmm. When you were inducted, how many people were you with when you were inducted? Was it a
when
group?
I was inducted? Oh my God, there was about 15 of us.
Oh. Okay.
About 15 or 20 of us, right in Waterbury.
Mm-hmm. What did they make you do when you're inducted? What do they have you do?
When we were inducted.
Mm-hmm. Do they have you say anything? Do you have to put your hand on a book? Do you have to recite anything?
I don't remember all that. I don't remember all that.
Oh, okay.
But we had to raise our hand and all that.
Yep.
But so anyway, when we got down to South Carolina, the Marine trucks got us and took us to Paris Island at boot camp, our basic training, you know.
Right.
And that's where we had our basic training. And boy, was that basic training tough. Boy, if you couldn't make that, out you go, you know. But I did it. I went right through the whole thing. It was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough, I'm telling you. It was good.
So you said you joined the Marine Corps. Perfect. You said you went to boot camp on Paris Island, right? Okay.
Paris Island, South Carolina.
Okay. What did you have to do in boot camp?
What do we have to do? Everything. Talk about, we'd be up on high pillars and we'd have to jump into the water. We'd have to run. We had to jump obstacles. They taught us how to fire rifles and all that. I'm telling you, it was tough. It was tough.
Right. What was the hardest thing for you to do while at boot camp?
Everything was hard. Everything. But I did it.
Very good. Was anything, did anything scare you about boot camp? Like, was a gun scary for you? Was anything? You were tough.
Nothing scared me.
Right.
Nothing.
When you finally went to war after boot camp, what was your day-to-day life like? Did you have like a routine you stuck to when you were overseas or anything?
I what?
Did you have a routine you stuck to when you were overseas? Or what was your day like when you were overseas?
When we were in combat?
Yep.
When we were in combat?
Yep.
Well, our job, I'll tell you, you know what? My company, we were, no matter what island we went on, we were always the first one to land on the island. That was our job.
Right.
Of course, I was a squad leader with my 12 men, and the others had their squad and all that. We had to land first. Do you know why?
Why?
To get rid of the obstacles and mines. See, we went through training for all that, you know. We were the first ones there. And of course, before we landed, the Navy would do the bombardment.
Mhm.
And by the bombardment, the enemy would get off the beach, you know.
Right.
And then, of course, the planes would do their share. And that's when we would come in, you know.
Mhm.
Everything would be free and clear for us to come in. And that was our job. We did it. Iwo Jima also, we did that on Iwo Jima.
Wow.
But Iwo Jima, I'm telling you, when we landed on Iwo Jima, my God, nothing was going on. We landed, and the Marines, we told everybody that the obstacles, we took care of obstacles, we took care of the mines. What if there was any there, we took care of everything. And Marines all start coming in, you know. And we weren't getting any firing from the Japs, you know. So we were saying they must be all dead because of all the bombing and bombardment, you know, that little island. They must be all dead. So after all the Marines were in, the 4th Marine Division landed. The 3rd Division was in, they were there also, and the 5th Division. And it was about 10:30, 11 o'clock. Holy hell broke loose. The Japs were firing like crazy on us. Unbelievable. They were firing on us like crazy. We thought they were all dead. What a surprise that was. But they waited until we were all on the beach.
Oh.
You see?
Mhm.
And we couldn't dig in because of the sand.
Mhm.
And we just had to just take it nice and easy and just crawl little by little, you know? And so little by little we got up there, and we managed to go up so high there. And the 5th Marine Division, the five Marines and 1 corpsman raised that flag the 4th day. They were able to get up there. They finally, when we saw that flag go up, we all got up and said, "Let's go get him!" And we all went like crazy after him. And our guys were getting killed like crazy, but we were scared, but we kept on going. We kept on going because we had to, you know, and we were scared.
Right.
And boy, I'm telling you, they couldn't stop us. They could not stop us, I'm telling you.
Where were you stationed first after boot camp?
After boot camp, the first place I was stationed in North Carolina. Camp Lejeune.
Oh, okay.
3rd Marine Division.
Mhm.
And from there, I was there, and from there I got transferred to the 4th Marine Division at Camp Pendleton.
Right.
That's where I ended up, in Camp Pendleton.
In California, you
In
said. Right?
California. See, I already had my first stripes, 1 stripes and all that. Well, anyway, they shipped me there, so I went to Camp Pendleton, and what a beautiful camp that was. That was right in between San Diego and L.A., right on Route 1. The ocean was right there. We did a lot of training there. That was a beautiful camp, and we did what we had to do. And from there, we ended up. That was our first battle. From there, before we landed on the Marshall Island, we stopped. We went to Hawaii. They showed us where our camp was going to be,
right,
and all that. And then from there, we went into battle. We never knew where we were. They never told us where we were going, because not until we were on the ship and going there on the ship, you know, then they told us.
right.
So once we got there, we fought on Roy and Namur. That was a piece of cake. So then, after that, we went back to Maui.
Oh, right.
To rest up, take it easy and all that. We got ready to go to Tinian. then from Tinian back and forth, and then to Saipan, and then Iwo Jima was the worst one.
Mhm.
That was the worst battle. That was a nightmare.
Mhm.
My God, that was, oh, we couldn't believe that was tough.
Mhm. Okay.
I'm telling you, I still get memories on that.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Mhm.
Can you imagine our comrades were getting killed like crazy, and we still had to do what we had to do. And the more of our Marines were getting killed, the madder we would get, and the more scared we get, but we still did, we had courage.
Right.
That's what it was, courage.
Definitely.
And that flag went up, boy, the Japs couldn't stop us. They could not stop us.
Right.
Then, of course, right after Iwo Jima, we took Iwo Jima, Okinawa
Mhm.
was invaded. Remember Okinawa?
Yep.
The 6th Marine Division invaded Okinawa.
Mhm.
Okay?
Yep.
And so, anyway, Okinawa was taken by the 6th Marine Division. So, okay, we were back at camp, and already 6 divisions. You know what we're going to do? Invade Japan.
Right.
6th Division. The Army was already coming over.
Mhm.
The 6 divisions were going to spearhead for the Army to go into Japan, to
Right.
fight Japan.
Mhm.
That would have been a massacre. I don't think, if we ever went through that, I don't think I'd be here today.
Mhm.
But it happened so. Remember in August, I think it was August the 6th, the atomic bomb was dropped by Truman?
Yep.
And the Japanese surrendered?
Yep.
Remember?
Mhm.
We all says, Truman saved our life.
Yep.
We didn't have to go to Japan to fight the Japanese.
Right.
To Japan, because that would have been a massacre.
Mhm.
Because 6 divisions, and then the Army was right behind us. They were going to come in too, you know. How about that?
Right. There you go.
What I want to say is, and that's when, after we took Iwo Jima and the atomic bomb was dropped on that,
Mhm.
and they told us that Iwo Jima was the worst battle in Marine Corps history.
Wow.
That was a nightmare. You can't imagine the fighting that night and day. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But it was the worst battle in the Marine Corps. I thought we'd never go through something like that. I'm telling you, it's unbelievable.
Right.
It was really something. 36 days of hell. There's a tape. The tape's there. 36
Right.
days. No, go ahead.
Oh.
Come on. It says it right
Yep.
there. 36 days of hell.
Yep. Do you remember arriving at Iwo Jima? What was that like?
Arriving on Iwo Jima?
Yep.
Yeah.
What was it like?
It was so calm and peaceful. There was no battling, but of course the planes were dropping bombs and the bombardment by the Navy.
Mhm.
But the Japanese weren't fighting back.
Mhm.
They were not fighting back.
Right.
They were at a standstill.
Mhm.
Like I said, that's why after about 10:30, 11 o'clock, they surprised after we were all on the island.
Right.
That's when they start firing on us. That's when we thought they must be all killed. When we landed there was no firing going on. They must be all killed.
Right.
We thought maybe the Navy and the bombing that was the bombing that they did was really something. But they had caves there,
Oh.
two wonderful caves, you know.
Mhm.
They were all in their caves.
What time of day did you arrive at Iwo Jima?
What day was it?
Well, what time during the day was
it was early in the morning.
Oh. Mhm.
Oh, real early in the morning.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Before we got on our Higgin boats to land, we had our breakfast. The Navy gave us beautiful breakfast.
What was the food like?
On ship it was very good.
Yep.
They gave us very good food.
Yep.
And when we landed, if we had something to eat, we had our K rations.
Right. What was that like?
Oh, bitter chocolate and different things, you know, different things that kept us going, you know.
Yep. What was the hardest thing about being deployed?
Deployed?
Yeah, what was the hardest part about it?
About being on the, what you mean?
Right, yeah. Being away from your family and different things.
I didn't mind being away from my family.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't bother me at all.
Right.
And I never realized how worried they were about me.
Right.
It's a good thing I didn't worry about that.
Right.
Because we had to do what we had to do. I only had one thing. We had one thing in our mind.
Mm-hmm.
To do our fighting, to do what we had to do. We never thought about, oh, a truck just went by. We never thought about my mother and father, how worried they were and all that. I never realized how worried they were, but we never thought about it. All we did was, we did what we had to do,
Right.
our fighting.
Did anything?
All that was on our mind was fighting the Japanese.
Right. Did anything bother you about being deployed?
No.
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 During your time at Iwo Jima, what was your specific job? What did you do?
My specific job on Iwo Jima?
Mm-hmm.
My specific job on Iwo Jima was getting ammunition.
Okay.
Getting ammunition to go up to the front lines and all that. And then we were ready to go to the front lines also. Everything was infantry there. Everybody was in the front lines there.
Right.
It was such a small island, you
Right.
know.
Mm-hmm.
But we were taking care of ammunition, making sure the Marines had enough ammunition and all that, you know.
Right.
And my squad would always be with us, you know. And they would do what they had to do. We told them what they had to do, you know.
Right.
And I remember in Saipan, I remember it was at night, and my squad, we were in our foxholes. You want to hear this?
Yeah.
We were in foxholes, you know, and it was dark, and we could hear the Japanese crawling up, hollering, "Malene, Malene, you died tonight." They couldn't say Marine, they couldn't say R. "Malene, Malene, you died tonight." So everybody said, "What are we going to do?" I says, "Be still." Pass the word. I says, "Get your grenades out. When I holler 1001, 1002, 1003, pull the plug and let the grenades go." And that's what we did. And we didn't hear any more, "Malene, Malene, you died." We couldn't hear a thing. Next morning, we saw the Japanese, they were dead. We killed them. Well, the grenades did it.
Mm.
We had to do that.
Right.
We had to do, "Malene, Malene, you died." They were stupid. They gave their position away by saying Malene. They thought we were going to be so scared, you know, that we were going to just, they kept saying, "Malene, Malene, you died tonight. Malene, Malene, Malene." My God, it's a good thing they kept saying Malene, Malene. Because if they just kept quiet, they probably would have got us.
Right.
You know?
Right. How did you stay in touch with your family and friends when you? How did you stay in touch with your family and friends when you were overseas?
When I was overseas.
Right.
How I couldn't get in touch with them.
No.
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 But I'll tell you, whenever we'd go into combat, I would write to my sister, and I would say, "Lena, I'm writing this letter because I won't be able to write for a while because we're going on maneuvers."
Right.
We were going to go into combat. We didn't know where, but we were going to go into combat. When she got that letter, she thought that I was going to be in maneuvers, you know. But then, come to think of it, she knew when we invaded, when we invaded Roy and Namur, the Marshall Islands, it was in the paper, she knew I was there. She says, I couldn't say where we were going. Well, we didn't either until we were on board ship, you know.
Right.
So every time we were going to go into battle, I would always write to her to say, I couldn't say we're going into battle now. So I would say we're going on to maneuver, so I won't be able to rifle. And right away she knew that I was going into combat. And so every battle that we went in, she knew I was going into battle because I would say, I'm going into maneuver. And do you know what she did?
What?
She used to go to church every night after work to pray for me. Her stockings were ripped. I never knew this. When I came home from the war, my mother told me all this. How my sister prayed for me every night. Every single night. And her stockings were ripped. Maybe that's why I came home.
Maybe. True. Mm-hmm.
You know, unbelievable. I'll never forget that. My sister Lena did that for me. She was very religious. Very, very religious. In fact, when she went to high school, she went to Catholic high. And so my mother, when I came home, my mother told me. And so then I talked to my sister about it. That I knew, you know.
How did people entertain themselves when they were overseas? How did you entertain yourself? To keep
entertain ourselves? Not in battle.
No, like when you're not in battle.
Okay. When we were in Camp Pendleton, okay. So we used to go on Liberty on weekends. Okay. Jesus, God, do I have to say this?
You don't have to if you don't want to.
All right, listen. We used to go on Liberty. Laguna Beach.
Yep.
Laguna Beach in California. It's off of Route 1 and all that. I used to go there. There's a few of us Marines used to go up there all the time, you know. And we used to go to Long Beach, Laguna Beach. I met this beautiful, I wasn't married, you know.
Right.
But I met this beautiful girl, you know. She had a convertible.
Oh,
Oh my God. And so we got acquainted, you know. And so I used to, every weekend I would meet with her, you know.
right.
In fact, she used to come up to Camp Pendleton, to pick me up in her convertible. And I shouldn't tell you all this.
You don't have to if you don't feel comfortable. But that's funny. How did the people in your squad, how did they entertain themselves when you were with like your squad?
Well, they went out and did what they had to do, you know, but I was never with them.
Right.
They did their thing, you know. And so whenever this girl would come up in her convertible, and my squad, all the Marines there would say, "Lover boy." They called me Lover Boy. I said, "Oh my God."
What about when you were overseas? How did you entertain yourself to keep your mind off things?
When we were not in combat.
No, when you were in Iwo Jima.
Oh.
How did you keep your mind off things?
After Iwo Jima? Oh, Jesus. I'll tell you, after Iwo Jima, you know, I didn't have too much to say about anything because I was back into civilian life, you know. I was very quiet, you know. In fact, my mother, I'd be on the porch, my mother would say to my sister, "Why is your brother so quiet?" So my sister would come out on the porch and says, "Mom wants to know why you're so quiet." And I would say, "I have nothing to say. I didn't know what to talk about, you know." And so that's what I tell her. And so anyway, I would go to Simsbury. Simsbury's right down here, you know. I'll tell you about. You want to know about this?
Sure.
So I was going to my aunt's in Simsbury, just in the summertime, you know.
Yep.
Just to get away from the city, you know.
Yep.
And I loved Simsbury. I got so I didn't care for Waterbury anymore. I loved Simsbury, you know. And I used to go to visit my aunt, and I'd be there all the time, and I'd be on the porch, you know, quiet and all that. So you know who used to come over and visit with me?
Who?
The girl I married. She lived across the street.
There you go.
And she used to come over and sit by me, you know, and talk to me and all that. So, oh my God, she took me out of my shell. You know, I got to like her and all that, you know. And finally I got to talk with her, and we got talking and all that, you know. And I fell in love with her, and I married her.
Very nice. And that was your wife.
That's my wife,
That's
Angela.
your wife. There
There's
you
a
go.
picture of her there.
Oh, yep. Very nice.
Oh, she was pretty when she was young. She was still pretty, but when she was young, she was real pretty.
Right, right.
And so we got married.
Mm-hmm.
It was beautiful.
Very nice.
And she took me out of my shell.
Good.
And I remember, so I still lived in Waterbury though, you know, and I used to come to Simsbury to visit with her, you know, and so I'd be over, you know, and I would sleep over at my aunt's, you know, across the street, and then I'd go over, you know, at night I'd be sitting with her on the porch, you know, and it'd be dark, you know. I have to tell you this. So we'd be sitting on the porch, you know, her and I, and all of a sudden the lights would go on. So I says, why are the lights on? I knew the lights were in the hallway, her hallway. I got up and I shut the lights off.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back out and I sat down. I says, I don't know, somebody put the light. So anyway, after a while the lights went back on again.
Mm-hmm.
You know what Angela says?
What?
Fred, you better leave the lights on. My father's getting mad.
Oh.
Do you believe that?
Yep.
But after he got to know me real well, he trusted me.
Right.
We start going out on dates and all that.
Right.
We got married.
Very nice.
What a crazy story.
Yeah. Okay.
Funny, isn't it?
Yep. While you were in your times during service, where was the most uncomfortable place you ever slept?
The most
Uncomfortable.
I ever slept when I was on Liberty, or what?
Anywhere when you were during your time of service.
Oh, I never gave it a thought.
No?
No. When we used to go on Liberty, I remember we used to go to Hollywood. We used to go to Hollywood.
Right.
And that's in Los Angeles, you know, Los Angeles and Hollywood and all that. And actors and actresses, you know, the canteen.
Yep.
Actors and they, you know, and I forget who this actor was that had a place for us to sleep.
Wow.
All over his building, any place. He had blankets, he had everything out, you know. And I remember there was maybe about 10, 20 of us, you know, laid out there sleeping.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
That's
They treated us real well.
Oh, that's
the
good.
canteen, yeah.
Very
We danced there and all that.
Right. Did you get along with your fellow soldiers?
Oh yeah.
You did?
Marines.
Yep. Did you remain friends with any of them after?
Huh?
Did you remain friends with them?
Oh, of course.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Do you still keep in contact with any of them?
I have to show you a picture.
Okay.
Out of my company, there's 24 of us that were left.
Right.
I have a picture of that. We used to have a reunion
Mhm.
every year. A union. We don't have any more reunions. I don't know how many are gone now,
Yeah.
but I have to show you that picture out there. There's 24 of us that were left.
Right.
And we used to have a reunion every year. We used to get together. So my wife and I, she would come with me, you know, our reunions and all that.
Right.
It's really something.
Did men act differently when they were overseas?
Huh?
Would men act differently overseas than they would at home? Were they different at all overseas?
No,
No.
no.
Do you remember a particularly funny story while you were overseas?
A funny story?
Right.
Here's one story here that I heard. This Marine, well, I'll say it. Do you know that I was fighting with 2 Japanese hand-to-hand combat?
Mhm.
Unbelievable, we were fighting like crazy. With 2 Japanese, I was fighting hand-to-hand with our swords, you know? Aren't you going to say what happened?
What happened?
I got killed.
No, you, oh.
That's the story.
They're very good.
That was a story.
What is one image that will stick with you forever?
One image?
Yep. That you'll remember forever.
All I can say is the Battle of Iwo Jima. That's the one that everything that we did on Iwo Jima, that remembered me. I remember when I got married to Angela.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you this. This is the truth. When I got married to Angela, and we built this house and all that, I loved Avon. You know, we bought land here.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I loved it here. You know. So anyway, so we'd be in bed. You know, and it turned out where I'd be in the bathtub. Angela saw me getting up, and she saw me get in the bed. She says, "What are you doing here?" And I was dreaming, like, you know.
Yep.
I says, I'm in a foxhole. I was thinking I was in.
Oh.
I think I was in war, you know. Unbelievable. Other nights I remember. I'd be in bed and I'd be dreaming about the war and all that, and my legs were going like that.
Oh yeah.
And she said, "Fred, what's the matter?" I'm running. I thought I was in combat, but I don't have that anymore.
Right.
I'm okay now, but I used to have some off and on.
How long did that happen for? How long did you have those?
Oh my God,
dreams?
for a few years,
Oh, yeah.
but little by little it wore off. So it's okay, I'm all
Wow.
right. I don't worry about that anymore. I don't have that anymore.
Right.
I think about it, but it doesn't bother me. I don't worry about it anymore. And I sleep okay at night.
That's good. How did people around your town act after the war was done?
In my town?
Mm-hmm.
You mean when I got back in Waterbury?
Yeah, how did they act after the war? How was it different?
It was okay. It was all right. Fine.
Right. Yeah. No attitudes were different?
Anyway.
Was anybody's attitudes different?
No.
Oh, no?
No.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, they really treated us wonderful. When we got back from the service. They clapped their hand. They had a parade for us and all that. I remember. It was beautiful.
When you got home?
Yeah.
Yep. Very nice. What was the biggest change you saw in the world after the war was over?
The biggest change? I don't know. All I know is that when the war started, you know, I went through a depression in the 30s, remember? And World War II.
Right.
When I came home, everything was fine. You know.
Right.
And the people were working, everybody was busy.
Right.
Everything was fine.
When you came back after the war, did you go to work or did you go back to school?
No, I was going to be 25 years old. I didn't go back to school. What I did, I didn't want to go in the factory. But I wanted to go into business. And I don't know what kind of a business I would want to go into. So I was thinking of the men's clothing store. I love men's clothes. And come to find out, I couldn't go into that because when they had Anderson, Little, Zuckers, all these other men's clothing stores, how they had their men's clothing and the sales they would have and all that. And I said, if I opened up a store, I couldn't be able to do that to start off with, to have sales and all that. I just, I can't get into that kind of a business. Not men's clothing, not the way things are. They're all these other men's clothing stores, they have their sales, you know. And I couldn't compete with them.
Right.
I would not be able to compete with them. So I didn't know what to go into. So Who was it that I met? I met somebody. I forget who it was.
Mhm.
They said, why don't you go into the liquor business? Go into a package store.
Mhm.
I says, I don't know anything about liquor.
Mhm.
You'll learn. Why don't you open up a liquor store? I says, how about taxes and all that? He says, all right, so you collect taxes and you, from the people, when they buy the liquor, they have to pay taxes and all that? Okay. And I said about, I won't be able to compete with these other stores that have liquor. She says, no, the thing is, in liquor, they can't give prices. They have to have one standard price.
Right.
So that's why I said, if you went to the liquor store, you'll be able to compete with any of them.
Right.
Without any problem.
Mhm.
So that's what I did. And I opened up in New Hartford, and I did wonderful for 28 years.
A liquor store? Very
My
nice.
liquor store.
Very good.
I have a picture out there at my store.
Yep.
Well, not the store, the inside of the store.
Very nice.
So anyway, when I learned that I could compete with them, because these other stores have to have that same price.
Right.
And they couldn't give discounts.
Mhm.
They couldn't, so I says, that's what I want to get into.
Very good.
And I learned about liquor right away.
What was your life like after the war? You said you got married.
Yeah.
How soon after the war did you get married?
How
soon after the war did you get married?
How did I what?
How soon after the war did you get married?
All right, I'll tell you. That November I was going to be 25, I was going to be 25 years old, right?
Mhm.
I got married 1947.
Oh, okay, so 2 years after, right?
Right.
Right.
2 years after.
Right.
That was in February we
Oh.
got married.
Yep.
In February 1947. I was 26.
26.
I would have been 27 that November. Right?
Yep, right. And you said you had 3 children afterwards. Very
I've got there's pictures right there. There's Gary, Freddie, and Laurie.
Very good.
The other one's a nephew of mine.
Oh.
And of course, now Gary, he's 60. He'll be 63 years old this December the 9th.
Wow.
Fred just turned 60 September the 18th.
Mhm.
And Laurie is 56 years old.
Yep. Very good. And you
How
said you
about
have
that? And them are all my grandchildren. I got 6 grandchildren.
Yep.
6 grandchildren. I got four granddaughters.
Yep.
And 2 grandsons.
Very good. And tell me about your experience building the Iwo Jima Memorial. You said you were the treasurer.
Yeah.
Treasurer.
You want to know about that?
Yep.
Dr. George Gentile.
Mhm.
He's the founder of the Iwo Jima Survivors Association.
Mhm.
So I'm an Iwo Jima survivor.
Yep.
And it came to the point where we saw the beautiful monument in Washington, remember?
Yep.
And Dr. George Gentile got it in his head. He says, Fred, why don't we build a monument? And I says, are you kidding? He said, all we got to do is get some land.
Right.
So I says, okay. So there was others in with us too,
Yep.
you know, Iwo Jima survivors that we were all going to do this too. So CCSU, Central Connecticut State University, gave us land.
Oh, yep.
You know that land
Yep.
there?
Mhm.
That was all CCUS land. And that land, there was an old trailer there. Oh my God, it had to be cleaned up. It was a mess.
Mhm.
It was a mess. So we were cleaning up that area.
Right off Route 9, right?
We got rid of that old vehicle there, that trailer, that we got rid of that, and the work that we had to do there, unbelievable. And we did get donations from some of the businessmen to clear up, you know.
Yep.
I'm telling you, we did a wonderful job cleaning that place up.
Right.
We did a beautiful job cleaning that up. So we were all set. And so I says, okay, George, now what? He says, now we have to build a base, and we're going to have to start soliciting for our monument, you know? So we had pictures made of that monument, you know, and all that, and what we're going to do and all that. So we're going to start going to stores outside, getting donations. We got donations like crazy, unbelievable. So I know this fella, Modesto Benaroli, contractor. He's a contractor. He used to live across the street. I told him about what we were going to do. We needed a base for our monument.
Right.
A base. You saw the base.
Yep.
He built the base for us.
Wow.
And I says, now what would that base cost now? He says, whatever it would cost, it costs. I says, well, you could say what it, we have a tax number that you could write it off.
Right.
He says, no. He says, this is our donation.
Wow.
So, and it was all filled up with cement and everything, that base. It was all donated. Unbelievable.
Wow.
Mo Brinoli did that for us.
Wow.
In fact, on the base of the stone, it'll tell you Mo Brinoli. You read all about that, didn't you? Mo Brinoli. You probably saw my name there too.
Yep.
Anyway, so then we got a hold of, oh geez, I can't think of his name. This fellow to build a monument, to build the monument there. I'm trying to think of his name. He was a sculptor to build it. I can't think of his name right now.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry.
fine. No, you're fine.
He was from, I don't know. We got a hold of him anyway.
Yep.
And we asked him, we went down, I even had pictures of it. I don't know if I got him or not. And we told him, what would it cost for a 9-footer and all that? And he told us it's going to cost you about $250,000. It's going to be in bronze.
Right.
So that's when we started soliciting for money, you know?
Right.
And so we earned a lot of money, and we got a hold of this fellow Fred Pfeffer from Torrington. He was Army, but he liked us.
Right.
He donated $50,000.
Wow.
He gave us $10,000 a year to start off with.
Right.
He gave it, by the end he gave us $50,000.
Wow.
And he says, I'm doing it. He was a millionaire. He says, I'm doing this because I'd rather give it to you than giving it to taxes. He wrote it off, you know, because we had a write-off, you know. He gave us $50,000. Now we earned $250,000.
Wow.
And what the businesses, the different businesses, what they've done for us, to do what they did on that land, everything's so beautiful.
Right.
The business people, a lot of business people
Wow.
did it for us. And that's it.
Very nice. When you look at the memorial, what kind of memories are brought to your mind?
There's 100 Marines that got killed in Connecticut. It's all on the base. It's on. Let me see if I have some pictures on that memorial. I don't know if I can find it or not. think so.
We can get them after if you want.
No, I can't find it. Wait a minute. Maybe, I don't know. Oh no. That was at our memorial in Washington. No.
Oh.
No, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. No, that's okay. Okay.
I can't get that stuff now.
That's okay. Do you think that the war depictions today are accurate?
The what?
The war depictions, like in movies and things, do you think they're accurate?
No.
You don't think so?
Some of them are. Some of them are. Now, Sands of Iwo Jima with John Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the end of that, a lot of it was good, but the end of that, when John Wayne got killed going up Mount Surumbaji, one of the Marines got up. Okay, saddle up. That was all Hollywood stuff.
Yes.
It wasn't like that,
Mm-hmm.
and it was so calm.
Mm-hmm.
When they got killed, there should have been a lot of action there, but it was so calm.
Right.
Because the war was still going on, you know, we were still fighting,
Mm-hmm.
and that we call that Hollywood.
Right.
Some of it was all right.
If you could describe your experience in World War II in one word, what would it be?
To describe World War II,
In one word,
in one word,
what would it be?
one word. To describe the war in one word, it'd be more than one word. Hell,
Why would you say that?
because war was hell. War was hell. I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm.
It was hell.
And what was the most important thing you carried with you after the war?
After the war,
Mm-hmm.
that I carried with me
Mm-hmm.
to remind me of the war.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I would. You see
Oh.
that?
Yep.
That's the Marine Corps emblem.
Yep.
That's the only thing.
Very
That's
nice.
what I carry around.
Good.
That's
Good.
it. I still got that, and it's still there.
Right. All right.
Marine Corps emblem.
And before we finish, do you have anything else that you'd like to say or add that I haven't
No.
gone over?
No, everything is fine. I hope I did all right.
Yes, you did. Definitely. Okay. And this will conclude our interview.
Okay.
Thank you so much for meeting with us and sharing your stories.
All right.
It really helped us out a lot. And
Okay.
later on down the road, people will be able to look up this interview and see exactly what war was like.
Yeah.
So thank you.